Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope all is well with you and yours. What's good, what's good, what's good? I know, normally on a Saturday I don't do a show. I know this. I know this for sure. But, man, they won't let me do Duel after I start streaming. I'm tempted to pause it and then go. Skip it. We'll just keep going. So, as I was saying, normally I don't do a show on Saturdays, but I was doing some research and said, skip it. Might as well just do it. Then I had a couple of people hit me up and ask me, hey, are you going to do that small business thing? And so we should talk about that as well. So U.S. oil executives went to the White House. Yeah, I'm still putting lotion on. And Chevron's like, oh, we're going to get in there and we're going to do a lot of stuff. Yeah, all right, buddy. Sure. ExxonMobil's kind of like, don't know yet. Right? Like, they're willing to fly out, take a look at things, do that kind of stuff, but they're not committing to spending money. They're not committing to spending money at all. And you have to think about, what they were told. They were told, oh, hey, if you go and you spend money, we'll reimburse you. I think that's a load of malarkey, right? Nobody in the United States is thinking that we should repay the investment that oil companies make to do business, right? So that they make money for free. Because that's what that would equate to. So we would be spending taxpayer money to give tax breaks to companies, or even reimburse, not even give tax breaks, reimburse companies that would stand to make billions. I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Because how many billions of dollars are we talking? So something else hit me. I was looking at something, and this is all related to the economy. We have a lot of hungry people, a lot of homeless people. And I was looking at some numbers, put out by various places. And it was like $20 billion would take care of hunger in this country. $20 billion. I think it was a similar number for homelessness. And so I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh, that's like $40 billion for two of the biggest issues in our country. Didn't we just send $40 billion to another country? Huh. Yeah. So yeah, not cool. Nobody's going to be looking for that. Something else that people are going to start looking at is, well, how much did it cost? Oh, those bombs we dropped, they cost millions. Yeah, you would think not, but they do. They cost millions. So how many bombs have we dropped all over the place? Not just Venezuela. Apparently, we're hitting another country now too. Just how much does all of that cost? To cause a ruckus everywhere where we don't need to cause a ruckus. How much does that cost? And how much does that deplete our ammunition? Just a question. You've got all kinds of defense stocks going up in price. Okay. Right? I forgot something. Tonight's question is, when was the last time we got such bad jobs data? Was it 2020, 2016, or 2008, or other? Look at those choices. I think a lot of you are going to have your jaws dropped. A lot of you are going to choke on the answer. I can tell you that right now. Chokey. What else happened? The AI sector in 2025 or 2026 faces debate over a potential bubble. You've got, the reason for this is because you've got a lot of, round robin kind of deals going on between the various companies. And the one common thing between all those companies, or two actually, are going to be OpenAI and NVIDIA. Huh. So if OpenAI messes up, it would affect everybody, including NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been smart enough to kind of figure out other things that it can do to make money so that they wouldn't have to take such a hard hit should that happen. And I sat there and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's cute. But they would still take a hit. Hutanik, you nailed it, my man. Circular finance is toxic. I think that's a really light word because I think it's worse than toxic, right? Everybody's eating, from the same plate. They're pledging the same money. Some money doesn't actually even change hands. It's just lip service, which makes it difficult to track the money. Interesting. And I'm sitting here and I'm just going, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Now, is there an AI bubble? I'm going to tell you, yes, there is an AI bubble. That's my humble belief. And it's a belief having been through the dot-com boom and having seen, just things in general. I think there is an AI bubble. Is AI good at certain things? Yes. Is it horrible at other things? Also, yes. I think what we're going through right now is you have a lot of companies that didn't want to admit that AI is not giving them the return on investment that they thought it would. And it's because of how they implemented it. It's not just because of the technology that they're implementing, but it's how they're implementing and what they're implementing. A lot of these companies just jumped on the bandwagon. They got FOMO and they just started, everything, just everything became AI. Everything became AI. And because all of that money went into AI, where did it not go? So when you look at companies like Morgan Stanley, yeah, they filed, a couple of S1s for Bitcoin ETF and another ETF. And I sat there and I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really awesome. Where's your blockchain integration for E-Trade? Wasn't that supposed to happen in 2025 and now all of a sudden it's still not here in 2026? When is that going to happen? Will it be first quarter? I hope for their sake it is. They own E-Trade. E-Trade's a great platform. For E-Trade to be involved in crypto would be amazing for them. And for, their customers that want to dip a toe into the space, right? But they're not here yet. And it's because of a lot of bad decisions. You have a lot of people at some of these companies that make decisions that they don't understand. And then they tax their staff to implement something new that their staff might not be accustomed to in terms of how does it work. So you have a lot of risk validation issues that you have to cover, right? Security, testing, software protections, just a whole bunch of stuff. Compliance issues, anything having to do with regulatory compliance. There are a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. And so a lot of these companies have decided, well, we're going to outsource this to a third party and we'll just integrate via their APIs and we'll get everything going. That is not as easy as you think. So it's taking them a long time to get there. So when you look at these financial institutions, you start to realize, even CZ was saying, hey, they bought up like $353 million worth of Bitcoin, allegedly including Wells Fargo, right? While everybody else on the retail side is trembling about crypto. Oh, it's fake. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. These financial institutions are getting involved one way or another. Why did Morgan Stanley do the S1s? Because E-Trade hasn't been integrated yet. What's the next best thing that they'd be able to do that's much faster, much easier? That's right, an ETF. They know how to do that. This is just Bitcoin and Solana. It's not hard. So we can demonstrate our intention to be involved by doing that. So that's what they did. Smart. They could have done smarter moves previously, but at least they've caught up. Right? What else do they have to do? Well, sooner or later, they're going to have to get E-Trade integrated. Charles Schwab is going to have to do something as well. Like everybody with a platform is going to have to do something versus just have an ETF. If you've got a trading platform, you must do something more than just offer ETFs. Because if you don't, you will be an also-ran. No doubt. No doubt. So when I look at news, I see CZ talking about, hey, people, are you not watching these financial institutions drop millions and billions into this space? He's literally saying to everybody, what are you waiting for? Pigs to fly? Cows to come home? Throw a pork chop. Pigs would fly. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. This is not difficult. This is a simple practice. You don't believe in something that all of these companies are doing, and you're just going to sit there and do nothing? Interesting. That's very interesting. I don't understand. I could understand if you did the research and you still walked away with, nah, that's not for me. I'm cool with that. I'm actually cool with that because based on your research, your gut feeling, your risk framework, your investment strategy, you said, nah, I'll pass. Cool with that so long as it's an educated decision. If it's not an educated decision, I want you to look at your bank account. I want you to think about the percentage that it's grown by over the past whatever number of years. And I want you to imagine your bank account depleting in value, not necessarily amount, but depleting in value over time because you're not keeping up. You must invest in order to survive. I've been saying that for a while. I will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. And I'm a black man, so you know that's going to be a long time. Just saying. It's no joke. It's going to be difficult. The cost should go down in a productive society. Competition drives costs down. Costs are stable. The currency is denominated, is how it feels on the wallet. Yep. Not just the denomination, though. We both know it's not just the denomination. We should all know that it's not just a denomination. We should all also understand it's the definition of enough. That's what affects the value of a dollar, the definition of enough. These companies I've given this example before and I'll give it again. I think it's the simplest example in the real world that I can have people actually grasp onto and understand. But to read Hutenic's statement, it's not incorrect. I'm adding to it, okay? But here's the example. So I got notice by a bank that going forward, the minimum balance must be $250 instead of $100 in order to not occur or incur certain fees. So if I can't afford to just have $250 sitting there doing nothing because the interest that you're getting is nothing, they might as well just not give you interest. But what they're saying is to the people down here that if you can't guarantee that we have $250 from you so we can go make money off of that, not us, not you. No, we will make money off of your money, is what they're saying to you. $250 is the minimum. That message was sent to the people down here. I don't see them saying, well, if you're rich, you must maintain X amount of money in our bank. They would never. They would never. If you deposit a few $100,000 into a bank account, they're not going to tell you that their minimum is blah. They will shut the hell up and be happy because they know, the bank knows that they're going to make money off of that money. Find the right person at that bank and they'll be able to tell you exactly how much money they'll make off that money every day. I kid you not. Those are calculations that they can make. Those are projections that they can make off of that money. So the people who can least afford to increase their minimums at a bank by 1.5x, that's who you're squeezing money out of. That's the simplest way as I can put it, right? Because you're literally saying to people that we want more from you. Enough is not enough. Meanwhile, companies and institutions that are up here, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bend over backwards. If somebody tries to break into your account, you're a preferred customer. They will absolutely bend over backwards to make sure they get that money back. Make sure it's secured to begin with. And if something happens, they immediately call, law enforcement. You only have $10,000 with us? What, are you joking? We're not calling anybody for that. We're not opening up an investigation for that. No, it doesn't matter. We don't care. Go play around like you have, millions to drop off into a bank. Pretend that you're somebody and go find out how much they will kiss your tail versus I only have $10 to deposit in an account. I'm just starting an account. Banks don't like anybody that pay their bills on time. Yeah. They don't like people that pay their bills on time either. That's crazy, right? Unless you're up here and you can deposit that kind of money because they know they're still going to make money off of that. Don't pay your bills? They're not going to care. They're absolutely not going to care. So they continuously squeeze retail. Why do you think banks and other financial institutions are getting involved in crypto? It's because they want to take control. And it's not going to be until retail people step up and start buying and start leveraging their crypto for how they want to use it and how they want to save it and how they want to invest it, all that other good stuff. They're not going to learn that they're not going to be able to control it. Look at how much Bitcoin they own. Look at their mentality when it comes to Bitcoin. It's just like their mentality when it comes to single family homes in the United States. They want to buy them all, control it all, and only allow you to rent, not buy. Everything around you is geared toward you moving into a rent society, a rent-based society, a month-to-month based society. Facts. Cars, furniture, homes, apartments. Think about it. Everything. Everything is geared toward a monthly fee, a subscription service. Rent an apartment, it's a subscription. Just saying. Rent a house, same thing, subscription. Buying a home, oh yeah, they don't want that. You own a home. A home represents what? Hope. It represents hope. It represents something that you can pass down to your kids, and they don't want that. Because in their eyes, they haven't defined enough. So what you have You're not supposed to have because they're supposed to have it. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Pay attention to the news. Like a New York court ordering Citibank to pay $3.5 million to an elderly customer after unauthorized transactions drained $773,000 from her account. The reason why I bring this up is because one of the examples I've been telling you is a lot of the actions against financial institutions are the fees that they have to pay, the penalties they have to pay are below how much money they made. So they look at it as a cost of doing business. In this case, what they have to pay is three times that amount that was taken. That is a freaking message. Now, of course, they'll appeal and all that good stuff, but that is a freaking message. Because I want you to think about this. That doesn't matter that they're old, but to me, it matters that they're old. That person had to go through a lot. You had to take the bank to court. Costs you money. Costs you time. How long did it take? Took years. That does not happen quickly. And the judge was like, yeah, sure. 3 times as much. You're going to feel the pain to cut that check. I have to go look up the case because what I want to find out is there are a couple of ways that you can actually bring a penalty against somebody. They can say, well, you can appeal, but what you're going to have to do is pay, and then you can appeal later. They can do that. So I'm wondering if that's what happened in this particular case. Because if I was a judge, that's exactly what I would do. I would make you have to fork over the money or fork over whatever it is you had to fork over to make whoever it is whole, because they won this case. If you want to bring a next case, which is what an appeal is, that's fine. You can bring your appeal, but you're going to pay that out first because they won here. That's how I think it should work. Because why should you be able to sit on that money and have that money continue working for you and have these people continue to wait? I'm giving you these examples so that you can understand that the system isn't built for the people down here, for the greater population that's down here. The system was built for the people up here. That's how it works. So at some point, you need to start to understand how value works. Not just money, right? Not just money, but how value works. The value of your dollar today is not the value that it once was even a year ago. It dipped 10%. I saw an article today that said that the cost of food prices, is abating a little bit, or inflation is abating a little bit. No, it's not. The cost of living still went up. It's just slowing down. So the increase was like this, now it's like this. That's all it means. It's still going up. Still going up. Did your salary go up that much? I've given this example before. Back in the day, there was a cost of living increase. A cost of living increase, then there was a bonus. So cost of living, let's make sure that we're matching, people are matching what's going on with inflation so that they don't feel that bite. So here's a cost of living increase. Great, got it, that's awesome. Had been doing that for years. Great, that's awesome, that's cool. And then there was the bonus on top of that. Now what do you get? Everything's just one thing. It's just one thing. And over the years, it just happened. HR started talking about, when they hire you, they stopped talking about, well, there's a cost of living increase and there's a potential bonus opportunity. They stopped saying that. Now it's just a bonus opportunity. That's all they say. And you sit there and you're like, what? Yeah, it went away. So your salary is going up like this. The cost of living is going up like this. The cost of housing is going up like that. I told you before, it was 2.1x or 2, no, I think it might have been between 2 and 2.4 times your salary to buy a house. It's 7.1 now. 7.1 times your salary to buy a house. I know a lot of you are sitting there saying to yourselves, "Oh, but I see all these houses that are for sale in like Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida." Huh. Go look up those home builders. Before you chomp down on one of those awesome deals that you see with home builders giving 100% financing. What? There's a home builder that operates in all of those states. And I did research on, because I was just curious, because I was like, oh man, maybe I should go buy some real estate. So I did some real estate on that particular home builder. And that particular home builder, the sales process, good job. The quality of the home, yeah, nah, not so much. Not so much. And I want you to think about where some of these homes are. Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. In those states, South Carolina too, North Carolina, depending on where you have them, you can't afford to have a poorly built house. It'll get blown away. It'll get flooded. It'll be weakened by the elements. Oh, you don't want that. You don't want builder grade Home Depot level stuff that went into your house. That's not what you want. That is not what you want. So when you hear about these builders that have homes to sell and everything else, I bring you back to an interview that happened yesterday on CNBC where a former, I think it was the CFO of Goldman Sachs, I forget what his title is, but you can look it up on CNBC. He was talking about how if it wasn't for private equity firms like his that were going out there and buying, not Goldman Sachs, but the company he's with now, going out there and buying real estate, the market wouldn't stand up. Are you kidding? Put that to the side. Let's talk about how they buy. Oh, we're buying these homes from builders. So if there's 100%, maybe we'll be able to go in and buy 25% of their inventory. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I'm not seeing that with these other builders. That kind of tells me, oh, your quality really is shite. That quality really is shite. And then I wonder about, in New York City and other states, you can actually get renter's insurance. Can you do that if you buy a house? Because it's hard enough getting regular insurance for the house, for the owner of the house, let alone somebody that's renting it. See where I'm going? So somebody that's renting a house from a company and the house gets blown away because of the weather, the company is going to take a hit, but they got insurance because they're a big company. You as the renter probably couldn't get insurance. So what do you have to do if you want to go out there and buy real estate? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. You want to know how long it took for me to figure out that this particular builder, that the quality of their homes was shite? It took me all of 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Because Google came back with the results in like 0.0 something seconds. I clicked on the first link because they were reviews, and I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. I'm not even going to think about looking at what you've done. Because if you're building a house made of sticks in a state like Florida, yeah, nah, son. I want to hear that you've got cinder blocks going on. I want to hear that you got printed cement going on. Something that's going to make this house stable. Make sure that it's going to stand. Because I'm putting, whether I'm buying the house or renting the house, I'm putting my life into that house, right? I can't afford to lose all that. More news. Tiger Global founder Chase Coleman reduced his $3.49 billion Meta stake amid a 10% stock decline, because Meta dropped 10% because they said how much money they're going to be spending on different things, and established new positions in MongoDB and Netflix worth 105.84 million and 242.06 million, respectively. I know that this guy is going to be deploying his money elsewhere, but the fact that you got out of Meta, yeesh. Remember what I said. Do your own research so that you understand what's going on. Know your entries and exits, meaning how are you going to acquire whatever asset and how would you be able to sell whatever asset. Next one is, what's the price point that you can get in and what's the price point that you would get out? And then invest, absolutely invest deliberately, meaning whatever move you're going to make sure you believe in that move. If you don't in any way, if you're not 100% sure-footed about what you're about to do, don't do it. That would be my advice to my kids. Don't do it. And also understand that investing isn't just putting your money in. It's putting your money in, pulling your money out, or leaving your money wherever it is. Leaving your value wherever it is. Yo, Mr. Manisi, what's going on? And Hutanik is also correct. Again, silver is the canary in the coal mine. Or silver is the canary in the silver mine. However you want to look at it. This is my third year working, and my annual increases were only half the inflation rate. Oh, this is why I started investing in a year into my career. Yep. Your first couple of years is catching up, storing some money, putting some value away so that, rainy day fund, and then start investing. If you can, you do both at the same time. It's just that your mixture changes, right? If I'm just starting, I'm going to be putting money into places where it's mostly liquid, so I have access to it quickly, but I'll invest a little bit, right? And then over time, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reverse that. Because I'm always going to put into, my fund, my rainy day fund, which is not the same as my dry powder fund. Excuse me, because my dry powder fund means I'm absolutely going to spend it at some point. I know I'm going to spend it. Not a problem. My rainy day fund is I will never frickin' touch that. One or two things have to happen for me to touch that rainy day fund. One, it's a rainy frickin' day. God forbid, hope that never happens. Two, I've retired. So that rainy day fund, if you did it right, can transition into your, I can live off this fund while your investments still make money for you. Great idea, right? That's what I told my kids. More news. U.S. job creation in Q3 2025 hit its weakest level since what year? No, we're not getting into that conversation yet. Just wanted to remind you what tonight's question is. When was the last time we got such bad jobs data? 2020, 2016, 2008, or other? If you think it's other, drop it in the comments. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Only 3 votes? What? I was for sure thinking that other people would vote on that. Come on, hit the votes. Let's get going on this. Don't be shy. You're allowed to be wrong. What else is going on? The UK reported nearly 1 million NEETs, not in education, employment, or training. That's what they mean by NEETs. Age 16 to 24 in July to September 2025. Out of work. That's what they're saying. Couldn't find jobs. These are graduates. I want you to hold on to that, because what that means is the United States isn't the only country that's got jobs problems. Now you're starting to catch on. Now you're starting to see. The economic issues that we're dealing with right now are not just in the United States. Now you know why I say we need to take a global look. When you're doing your own research, you need to take a global look at what's going on. Look around the world to see what's going on. Don't just look at crypto. Look at everything that has the opportunity to increase or decrease your value. Right? Increase or decrease the value of your assets, your own personal value at the office. Because if your company is about to lose, I mean, I'm starting to see reels again where people are having an all hands call, and the people that are on that all hands call, sorry, you're the ones that won the lottery and are getting fired. Yeah, that's popping up again. Some people will say, some companies are saying, oh, it's because we're implementing, AI. But which lie is it? Is it because you're implementing AI? Or is it that you're doing these kind of quiet firing thing? Oh, you must come back to the office. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. If you don't come back to the office, you're fired. Yeah, they know there's a percentage of people that's going to happen. Those people will leave. It's a whole part of, their management, their management approach. Some people are going to leave because they don't want to come back to the office. Some people are going to leave because they were put on PIPs, right? That's when, you suck at your job, supposedly, and they got to put you on a performance review. Cool, fine, whatever. So there's a certain percentage from that, certain percentage from that. And they have others where it's kind of like, well, we're not giving you the bonus you thought you should get. We're giving you a meets needs or whatever it is that it's called. We're going to make this environment not good for you, and hopefully you'll just quit. They have a number for that too. Because the whole idea is we know we're going to have layoffs, but we need to go through this stuff first so it'll decrease the number of people that we actually have to give packages to. Yeah. Remember what large companies do. What large companies do is they will offer packages to people, and they also do not inform the government that they're going to have such large layoffs. Yeah. Because there's a system that you're supposed to report into that if it's greater than a certain percentage, you've got to let them know. And then they put that out in public so that people know that, hey, you could be affected by this. Cool. It's in every single state. I forgot the name of it. Somebody will remind me, but I forgot the name of it in the United States. But, excuse me. But the idea is that if they go through all those things first, maybe instead of having 100 people that they have to pay out to, maybe they only come down and they only have to worry about 60. So they pay the penalty for not reporting in that they're going to have these layoffs only based on the 60, not the 100. Because they were able to weed out those other people by making it basically difficult for them to work here. Yeah. You see? And for those people that were offered, you could stay, but you're going to have to take a deduction. My best advice is if you can take a package, you might want to talk to people, and you might want to consider taking that package more, because that means you're already on a list of people that we really don't want you to stay. We're saying you can stay, but we kind of don't want you to. And you should be happy that we're actually willing to cut you a check. Again, that's what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at it around the world. United States is having problems. UK is having problems. Other countries are having problems. Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention. It's not funny. The CFTC granted binomial exchange relief from swap reporting rules, meaning they don't have to abide by the same rules as other swaps, allowing event contracts to operate without traditional swap requirements, marking a milestone for U.S. regulated prediction markets. That's what that is. Now, I get it that you're governed by certain companies are governed by the CFTC, Kalshi, Bitnomial, but Polymarkets is not. They're allowed to operate in the United States, but they're not overseen by the CFTC. Now, I'm going to put it to you like this, and I keep saying it. I strongly believe that prediction markets are nothing more than gambling under a different moniker. Problem. Because so many people are just gamifying everything and they're becoming numb to the idea of certain things. I'm willing to bet that if I went on any one of these prediction markets, that there's somebody betting that X company is going to have massive layoffs. Now, I want you to think about that. Hear me out. Kalshi's got deals with a couple of the networks that are out there, CNBC included. Somebody makes a big bet that X company is going to have massive layoffs. Now that's going to be tracked. And if it gets on to CNBC or one of the other networks that they have a deal with, what's that going to do to the market? That has an effect, does it not? Because if I'm loaded, I can do the math that says, how much money do I have to put into this bet to make money off the shorts that I have? I can do, if you have the right amount of money, you can do things like that. Aha. And you start to realize, you start to go, oh, wait a minute. That's interesting. Yeah, it is, isn't it? So I can make a big splash by putting like what, 50K, 100K on something like that. Just giving an example. But I'm holding big shorts on something and then that one. That's just an example. Could that play out? Has it played out? Well, let's ask Polymarket. Somebody came in and said, I'm going to make a big bet on Maduro getting ousted by the end of January. And they kept coming back and doubling down on that bet. And now Polymarket doesn't want to pay because they say, well, it could be insider trading. Could be is not the same thing as is. Could be is not the same thing as is. That's a problem. Now, if you find out later on that it is, insider trading, well, is that illegal when using Polymarket? I don't think so. It might not be. It might not be. Because there's only now a bill that's being introduced in the United States that says politicians should not be allowed to bet in prediction markets because they're privy to certain information, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Those are the politicians. Does it count the politicians and their secretaries and their families and their assistants and their researchers, this, that, and the other? Huh. What happens if I'm somebody that has a Wisconsin, not Wisconsin. Yeah. No, not Wisconsin. Is it Wisconsin? Utah? Give me a moment. Wyoming. It's been a long day. So do I have an anonymous trust in Wyoming that owns a company, and that company made the bet? Oh, because you'll never find out who the actual beneficiary is. That's one of the joys of having a trust in Wyoming. Yep. God's honest truth. This is why we have to pay attention to all these tiny little things. Because you never know who's doing what, when, where, how, and why. Facts. Louisiana recovered $200,000 from cryptocurrency scammers targeting elderly residents via Bitcoin ATMs. Bitcoin ATMs, not good. Where are these ATMs located? Stores. They rent space from various stores They literally just rent that space, rent the electricity, all that good stuff, and put it in their Bitcoin ATM. It's really just a deposit box. I was speaking with somebody who's involved in that kind of research, involved in that kind of enforcement, and they were like, yeah, we were working with somebody, and the sheriff came in, confiscated the box, busted the box down, and handed the person back their money. In another incident, getting back that 200 grand, that's probably what they did. Because the elderly people probably came to that machine and put it, because all it is it just takes in money. It just takes in money. And then somebody has to come collect that money because it's cash. Aha. Yeah. So in Maine, they're trying to get rid of ATMs. Around the country, they're trying to get rid of these so-called Bitcoin ATMs. I would never use one. You want to know the other reason why they want to get rid of them? Nefarious characters use them. Yeah. So you want to be careful about, what you have going on. Using an ATM, not something I would tell people to do. Senator Cynthia Lummis pushed the Responsible Financial Innovation Act of 2026, aiming to differentiate digital asset securities from commodities and allowing banks to stake crypto, with a markup hearing set for January 15th. Do you want to know why that's important? Because banks don't want exchanges to offer staking or be allowed to continue offering staking for stablecoins and other assets. Why? Because why would I put my money in a bank where I'm not getting anything when I can put my money over here and get a lot? Right? Up to 5%. So you can say to yourself, well, I can make up to 5% by putting my money over here. Still basically liquid, but I'm earning off of it. So if I don't need to use it, it's going to earn for me. But if I put my money in this bank is going to pay me 0.0 blah, 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 1. Yeah. Again, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Pay attention to the news on a global scale. What happens in other countries is going to affect your country. And I say your country because I might be based in the United States, but our audience, our community is international. Isn't that awesome? Our platform is international, which is why I keep saying you've got to pay attention to what's going on around the world. BTC ATMs are for someone to try to stay anonymous. What's wrong with that? Privacy is the ethos for crypto. I understand what you're saying, but for the most part, that's not the case. If you're trying to remain anonymous, then my counter would be, then you're trying not to pay taxes. That would be my take. You're trying not to pay taxes. But let's suppose you're an honest, law-abiding citizen, wherever you are. You're an honest, law-abiding citizen. It's not necessarily so that the person is nefarious. It's just that nefarious characters do use those Bitcoin ATMs when they're working. Now, the idea is that those ATMs are not necessarily doing what they're supposed to do, which is give you or send you whatever whatever coin that you're buying, most cases Bitcoin, right, to your wallet when you've made that deposit. You've made that deposit and people are walking away and not seeing it hit. So the person operating the ATM is the problem, not necessarily the person using the ATM. There are going to be nefarious characters. They're going to be regular people. But it's the people that are operating the ATMs that are having problems or causing problems in a lot of cases. That's what I mean. Just to be clear, Courtney Johnson. You're not a cuzzo, right? I mean, I have a huge family, so you could be. In the case we could use silver for dude, silver, any fiat, anything of value can be used for nefarious acts, right? Do you think it's funny that in movies they use diamonds a lot? Uncut diamonds. Yep. That's huge. Uncut diamonds? What? Heck yeah. Do it all the time. D-Mac into his house. Sometimes I hire developers in other countries. It's faster to pay them in BTC. They use BTC ATM to cash out. Depends on how that, it depends on if that machine or if that company is on the up and up. There are some Bitcoin companies, BTC ATM operators that are legit, right? I'm not saying that everybody's not legit. I'm saying that there are a lot that are not legit. And that's what's causing the problem. So in the United States, you have states that are actually taking action against all the acts of a few. It's just the way it is. But you're right, D-Mac, it is a lot easier to pay people in digital assets that they value than it is to send cash. Depends on what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. And cash out, yeah. You can do a lot of things in a lot of other countries with digital assets that you can't really do here in the United States because it's not as, out there as everything else. Just saying, but that is coming. That's rare not to get your crypto. Depends on what company that you're using that has the ATM. And they don't even have to scam all the time. They can just scam some of the time. So I've never had a problem like that. Oh, I've never had a problem like that. I've never had a problem like that. And then boom, there's a problem. Because you can build your rep as honest, reputable, all that good stuff. And then now you can cash out. It's almost like pig butchering. Nothing is 100%. Nothing is 0%. That's my point. That's my point. They are putting up digital walls before they pull paper cash off the street. They want to be able to ask where that extra cash came from. Depends. There are some places that require ATMs to actually have some sort of KYC, AML KYC in place, which also puts them on the hook because that means they can be audited by whatever municipality, whatever state, whatever Fed, they can be audited. That would be a problem. My man Hom's house, GMB3. Thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. To those with cash in a safe, you're on notice. Yeah, keeping your money, mashed up in your walls or, in your mattresses. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Just saying. You can use almost anything of value for nefarious acts. But that means that what? That means you have to be awake and aware of who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with. Because if you're not, it's going to wind up being a problem. I think they are losing oversight power, not gaining, in my opinion. Hum's house, nail on the head, man. Nail on the head. We're moving too slow. I was speaking with somebody, like I said, a professional in the space. They actually hands-on doing cybercrime and all that good stuff. Like, oh, Europe is way ahead of us. Other countries are by far ahead of the United States when it comes to crypto regulation. By far. And I want you to hear me out. Even the countries that you say, oh, they're not ahead of us. They don't allow crypto. But they have crypto rules, which is why they don't have crypto. They're ahead of us. They will find out how they have to adjust their rules and regulations. They'll figure that out. I want you to think about that because that's the big deal. You don't have to have perfection when you put the guardrails on. You have to put some damn guardrails up, though. Start with common sense. Make sure that if you're going to operate an ATM, KYC, AML must be in there, right? And a lot of these ATMs have built-in cameras that can see your face. Request your ID. The idea of anonymity by leveraging an ATM in the United States is going to go away fairly quickly. If you want to be in that business, you're going to have AML, KYC, anti-money laundering, know your customer KYC. For those that aren't up on the jargon, sorry about that. But you're going to see those rules and regulations happen around the world. So you've got the Genius Act, Clarity Act, this new one by Loomis. You have all these things that are coming in line, right? You have MiCA in Europe. You have a lot of things out there where countries are saying, we don't know if this is going to work, but we've got to put something in place. Notice how it's coming in stages. Here are the things you can't do. Here are the things you can't do. Here are the things. Here's who has to register. Here's who doesn't have to register. Here's what you're allowed to do. You have to have this license. Blah blah blah. They're all starting to roll out over time because they're starting to look at, well, we rolled this out. It didn't really work out well. Let's adjust. Ta-da! So yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm also saying that I'm not wrong. We have to look at this. Coinbase's Faryar Shirzad highlighted, because I hate messing up people's names, highlighted stablecoin rewards amid congressional debate as U.S. banks held $2.9 trillion in Fed reserves and earned $176.8 billion in 2025, while China's digital yuan threatened their profits. There's a lot of stuff to think about. I take a homeless person with me to BTC ATM to use their ID for withdrawal. So you're already being illegal. That's what you're saying to me. You're literally saying in front of everybody around the world that you're taking part in an illegal action. Or you're joking about it, because I see the smiley face. But you see what I mean? Like, you see how that nefariousness happens or can happen? This is what I'm talking about. Just saying. U.S. banks, including Wells Fargo, purchased $383 million in Bitcoin during 2025 market downturn, contrasting with retail panic as Bitcoin's price stabilized at around $90,000, which right now it's at approximately 90,506, give or take. So you have to think about how things are going to happen. They're not going to use AI to do that. That would be like the dumbest thing in the world. Do you want to know why? Because they can't tell the difference between black skin. Because, you know, who did they test with when they were doing that? White people. So yeah, it's a problem. There's an issue with Roblox as another example, where somebody was registered as a child, and they said, well, if you want to continue playing, we have to take a picture of you, and we'll use AI to determine what your age is. Apparently, this woman went on online saying, you know, my child is 9, right? And it pegged her child at, I think, 12 to 15 years old. And she's like, no, my child is 9. And there's a difference between the games that they're allowed to play at various age steps, right? And what was worse was she was saying that there was no way for her to go back and change that age. They were like, no, you know, this happens, you know, once a year or every so often, whatever. And yours was used up. So no, can't change it. Using AI for certain things like that, not necessarily a good thing. And here's the other part. So you asked an underage person, a child, to take a picture of themselves for your company to do something. Forget that it's Roblox or whoever, just any company that does that. So in the Roblox case, it's allegedly, right? Allegedly, they went and they did that. How long are you going to hold that picture? How else are you using that information? Are you using that information for any kind of marketing? Uh-huh. Are you sharing that information? Remember, we're talking about a child. And there's parental controls, and the parents were, she was on it. She was like, yeah, let me go see if I can fix this, and couldn't fix it. And she went online because she couldn't reach a human being. So using AI for certain things, yikes. As a guy who's in that space, yikes. There's certain things I would use AI for, and there are certain things I would not use AI for. That would be one of them. I do not feel like sitting here and giving my name and my likeness to some company, and I don't know how long they're going to hold that data. Do we not recall 23andMe? Mm-hmm. Look at World, formerly known as WorldCoin. They're going to use biometrics to prove that you're human. Why did Sam Altman start that? Oh, that's right. Because he's currently with the number one AI company, and he knows that in the future, he's even said so, that in the future, you're going to have to be able to verify who's human and who's not. Oh, isn't that a problem? Ta-da! And you start to realize, oh, this is not going well. This is not going in the direction that we want it to go. It's not what we were expecting. See how small things bubble up to be really big problems? So if that allegation is true against Roblox, Roblox is going to have a problem. Is Roblox publicly traded? Roblox. I'm curious. Oh, they are. They are publicly traded. If that allegation is true, that's not going to bode well for their stock. Not going to bode well for their stock. So I'm going to have to take a look at that. And 12 hours ago, apparently, they're saying Roblox stock slides as analysts cut future hopes. Yeah. People are cracking jokes about the metaverse, and then we'll close out the show with this last conversation. People were laughing at me when I was talking about the metaverse. Yes, my company is a part of the Metaverse Standards Forum. And we talk about what standards should be in place and how they could be put in place and all that other good stuff. So think about things like moving from one metaverse to another metaverse and being able to take your look and feel over to that other metaverse. Well, that requires standards and all that good stuff. So you're doing cross-platform interoperability, all that good stuff is a very big deal. And that's what my company takes part in. But everybody was kind of like, ha, 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 metaverse isn't going to do anything. Metaverse is not going to go anywhere. Ha, 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 ha. Are you serious with that? Your next gaming level is going to be in the metaverse. Your next gaming level will be in the metaverse. Everybody coming out with glasses, you're like that far away from everything happening in the metaverse. Microsoft came out with a product way too expensive for what it does, but they came out with a product that had some really cool things, right? Like you walk in the door, you put on your goggles, you'd be able to walk over to a certain space, and it combined your current area with metaverse-like features, right? So I could leave a note for you on the refrigerator, but nobody could see it unless they had one of those goggles on, one of those visors. And now you can actually walk down the street with Meta sunglasses. This is why I said the other day, whenever I see somebody wearing sunglasses, whether they're the Meta glasses or not, there are so many companies that are coming out with glasses that you can wear that will give you additional information, that there's going to be another business that's born that's going to enable you to disguise your face, because everybody will be looking at you. Everything and everybody is going to be a camera. I told you the other day that Flock Flock Systems has cameras in the parking lots of Lowe's, Home Depot, and other places, even in public places. And what it's doing is taking snapshots of your car, noticing the details, right? Your license plate, even you and your likeness, your gait, your walk. All those cameras that you see where you have, oh, these are police cameras that are up. They all share that information with law enforcement and other companies. And it's all without a warrant. So I can tell that it's you that was walking down 51st Street and 2nd Avenue, even though you were wearing a scarf over your face, a baseball cap, and a hat, is because that person came from this direction and we know that you live in that direction, and it's the same exact gait, meaning how you walk. They can identify you without a warrant. And now they're going to say, well, oh, you can buy these glasses and they'll give you extra information that goes up to a network that ties into that you won't need a warrant to go get information. So you'll be a part of that security apparatus, that oversight apparatus. Wow. Wow. So yeah, if you're wearing glasses, yeah, no, I don't trust you. Take off your glasses, please. Like, what is that going to do to, concert venues? You walk in the door and, they say, oh, you must kick up your phones, your cell phones. Cool, here you go. And then whip out my glasses. I can't see without my glasses. I got to have my glasses to see everything. And you're wearing Meta glasses and now you've got the whole movie going on. You've captured everything. You've got the show. Don't just look at technology as it is right now. Look at technology and different, laws, rules, regulations, all of it. Look at everything in the here and now and try to walk down the road. In other words, don't just take a cursory review of things. Dig a little bit deeper. Dig a little bit deeper. See if that pearl of information correlates with that pearl of information and enables people to actually connect all of those pearls to make a beautiful necklace that they can clutch. Sounds hilarious, right? Until you put all those things together and you realize, holy smokes, these are all facts that he's giving me that I can go look up myself. I deliver facts, and then I give you my opinion on those facts. That's what makes this community so good. It's because we all have opinions about things. Hutanik and I disagree about things all the time. And sometimes, you people might not know, we actually disagree with each other on purpose. Just so that we can get everything out of it. I had a conversation with my older brother today, and we were talking about technology. And he's good at technology. He knows this stuff. I mean, is he as good as me? No. But he knows this stuff. And he was like, holy moly, that's a good question. I didn't even think about that. See what happens when you play devil's advocate? So we do that sometimes just so that we can bring out more information. Because if we can bring out more information and it's useful to you, that's the purpose of this community. To share information that enables us to grow. That's the whole idea. Now, speaking about growing, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, right after the show, I already sent the invite to all my big baggers. So if you're already a big bagger, you got your invitation to tomorrow's video conference call at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's where us big baggers get together and we talk about this stuff, but at much deeper levels. Because we're really digging in. We're really looking at what would it take for me to go buy this company? What kind of questions should I be asking? What are the burgeoning markets that we should be looking at? What kind of crypto should we be looking at? Do we think that, NFTs are going to make a comeback or whatever? We're having discussions like that every month. So if you're not a big bagger yet and you would like to have that conversation, become a big bagger. Make sure I have your email address and I will invite you to tomorrow's call. All right. Here's something else. When was the last time we got such bad jobs data? 2020, 2016, 2008, or other? It was 2003. It's verifiable. Go look it up. 2003 was the last time we got that level of bad for jobs data. Why do you think that Previous to that, and I was alluding to this yesterday, why do you think that previous to that, the new regime started talking about, I'm going to stop these large companies from buying single family homes? Why do you think he started talking about things that are kitchen table promises, kitchen table problems, kitchen table everything? It's because this jobs data was bad. 22 years bad. That's why I was talking about, the UK having issues with over 1,000 people between certain ages not being unable to find jobs. Unable to find jobs. That's a massive problem. Massive problem. And the United States is not the only one that has it. Other countries, and not just the UK, have that problem. This is not a little thing. So imagine 2003. You have to go back all the way back to 2003 to find those bad job numbers. That should be scary. We should be looking at companies that are doing well and still having job cuts, not upskilling their people. We should be looking at those companies that are having job cuts while also offshoring jobs. Maybe we should have a law in place that says, sure, you can have job cuts, and they start overseas. They start with your exported jobs, not jobs here. Problem is that they're doing the reverse, right? They're taking the jobs from here, having the massive layoffs, and offshoring those jobs. Big issues, really big issues. We need to look at how that happens. In Europe, yeah, you're not doing that. Most countries in Europe, you can't do that. You're pulling a profit and you're having layoffs? What? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. That's not a thing. Pay attention to these things. It's a big deal. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor. Smash the likes. Tell your friends about us, because this is the best community on the internet when it comes to investment. These are real people having real conversations. It's a growing community, and we want to keep it growing. So smash the likes, become a member, and have some fun. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That's the GMB3, coined by Ham's House. Everybody have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the Sunday roundup at 4, but I have the big bagger meeting at 1, so I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. Everybody, thank you again. Have a great one. Bye-bye.